Would you believe me if I told you that the stories about giant squid-like kraken creatures attacking boats might be a little bit more than just myth and legend and late-night drunk sailor tales? Has something like this ever actually happened and was documented? Well, yes, something like this did actually happen, and it was documented by the US Navy, and a large, unidentified squid-like creature attacked a US Navy ship called the USS Stein in 1978 in the ocean off the coast of San Diego, and this is one of the biggest unexplained ocean mysteries to ever happen in history, and I bet you haven't even heard about it. Now, the USS Stein was a US Navy warship that was doing operations during the Cold War and had this massive sonar on the bow of the ship that was basically used to detect, enemy submarines and other enemy ocean technology. And the USS Stein was doing these operations in the oceans during the Cold War. Now, during operations one night, in the middle of the open ocean, somewhere off the coast of California, the USS Stein encountered something very, very bizarre and strange. It is reported by the Navy crew that there was this very strange sounds and sudden shaking of the ship. And then the military-grade massive sonar went completely dark. The sonar was completely out of operation with no explanation, and this had caused the ship to completely halt operations and urgently head back to port in San Diego. And that is when they discovered something very strange and very terrifying. What they had discovered was that the ship was attacked. The sonar area on the bow was attacked by some giant unknown squid.
We noticed that there were some quite long scratches starting from the front and the side and down underneath the dome itself. The longest one, I would say, was about 4 feet long. At the bottom of each one of these cuts, or at least 90% of the cuts, was something embedded underneath the rubber coating itself. Of course, I was interested to determine what that was. I had never seen anything like this before. This type of damage was brand new to me. So I used my knife to pick out this foreign object underneath the no-foul coating, and it looked to me like it was a claw. And I quipped to my SW officer at the time. I said, "Look here, it looks like we have been attacked by a bunch of small alligators."
Navy biologist F.G. Wood.
This is a small piece of the no-foul covering that was taken from the sonar dome of this ship. In many of these cuts were found teeth or claws, such as this one. And it's apparent that whatever did this damage grasped the dome and ripped all the way through this rubber covering to the metal below.
The claw it looked like it had been wrenched out of whatever had put it there.
I think that it must be from a squid, because squids do have claws or hooks similar to this. Nothing else that is known in the ocean has structures of this kind. This doesn't rule out something that we haven't found yet.
So yes, this was a real event of a ship being attacked by a massive squid. And this was documented by the US Navy, the people who spend their whole lives out in the ocean, very highly intelligent, trained military people. Now, let's cut away from the woo-woo for a little bit and let's look at the actual facts. What could have done this? Now, the two most giant species of squid that are found in the ocean that we know of are the giant squid and the colossal squid, both reaching as big as a school bus and being thousands of pounds. And most people thought that this incident was committed by a giant squid because they live throughout the world's oceans. However, there is a problem. Giant squid have suction cups on their tentacles, not claws, not the hooks. They only have suction cups. Now, what does have hooked claw tentacles are colossal squid. Here are the suction cups on the tentacles of the giant squid, these ringed teeth, not the damage that was done on the dome sonar of the USS Stein. Now, these are the suction cup of the colossal squid. And as you can see, we have that huge hooked claw, a lot like the damage and the claws that were found in the radar dome. Now, for a little bit of context, this massive radar dome was on the bow of the ship, and it was massive, like 50 feet long and 10 feet across. And this is a military-grade radar dome. It had this thick rubber that the people who made it, the military, they said it was indestructible. Like, this thing is meant to withstand, like enemy combat. And whatever this was able to easily rip it apart. The military biologist on staff and the commander on staff said that there were up to 4 feet long gashes and spots. This was a piece of that thick grade military rubber off of the dome, and you can see all of these holes and gashes. Now, both the giant squid and the colossal squid are the two largest species that we know of. However, the colossal squid is the largest. It was not discovered until the early 2000s. The giant squid is longer in body length than the colossal squid, but the colossal squid is definitely meatier and heavier and more massive. They are both ferocious hunters, and they have massive beaks too to destroy their prey. So then it must have been a colossal squid, right? Because it is the only squid that has these claws. But there's a problem with that. The colossal squid is an Antarctic species that inhabits the very deep, cold waters around the Southern Ocean, icy, cold waters. And for this to be a colossal squid, that means that this colossal squid would have had to have been way far outside of its range to be off the Pacific coast of California. Or maybe we're just wrong about colossal squid and they range way more widespread than we thought. However, there's also another problem. This radar dome that is on the bow of the ship is about 50 feet below water. Giant squid and colossal squid are animals of the extreme deep ocean, the twilight zone, areas that are as deep as Mount Everest. That's why we know so little about them. And they are not known to hunt near the surface. Maybe they can, maybe there is behavior that we haven't observed. But this is just very strange because they are known to hunt in the deepest water. Now, some deep sea creatures do come up in the shallows at night, and this did happen at night. So it is possible that there are behaviors of giant and colossal squid that we don't know about. Now, in the official military report, it said that the claws, the tentacle hooks that were found embedded in the rubber of this sonar were 1.5 inches long. Even the claws on a colossal squid in the biggest specimens only are less than an inch, about 0.9 inches. So this would have had to have been a colossal squid that is thousands of miles outside of its range and bigger than any one that has been documented. Now, here's the uncomfy part. There is only two possibilities as to what could have attacked the USS Stein. Either it was a colossal squid that was much bigger than any ever found, and it also would have had to have been thousands of miles outside of its known range. Or this was a species of squid that we have not identified and is unknown to science, that is much larger than anything that we know about, and is also highly aggressive. So you tell me in the comments, What do you think attacked the USS Stein? Was it a colossal squid that was way outside of its range and much bigger than anyone that has ever been found? Or was it something unknown, a unknown species of squid? Let me know.